Hello friends, this is Roshni. In the previous two videos, we were talking about what is an array, what are the different types of array, that is single dimension array and multi-dimension array. And then in the previous video, we talked about multi-dimension array. In the multi-dimension array, we talked about two-dimension array. So in this video, we are going to see about three-dimension array, and also we are going to see about jagged array. Okay, so first we'll see about three-dimension array. So we know how to create a two-dimension array. So we created like this. First we have to specify the type of an array. Then two square brackets says it is a two-dimension array, and then we have to specify the name of the array. Then there are many ways to create array. By using new operator, we can create like this. Then we have to say the type of an array. Then we will be specifying the square bracket. First square bracket specify the number of row, and the second square bracket specify the number of column. This and all with different way of creating array, getting the element from the array. Example and all we saw in the previous video, right? So now here let's talk about three-dimension array. So how we are going to create a three-dimension array is, again first we have to specify the type of the array. Then since it is a three-dimension array, we are going to make three square brackets, so it is a three-dimension array. Then put the name of the array, then followed by a new keyword. So here again, what are the different way we created two-dimension array? Every way we can also do with the three-dimension array also. Then here again the type of the array, then we have to specify the three square brackets, and here we have to give the values. So let's say like 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we are going to discuss what does this do, what is this 3, how does this 4. Okay, so let's see with a small diagram so that you will understand. So in the previous one, here for two-dimension array, this specify the row and this specify the column. Now we'll say first this is going to again specify the row. So how we are going to specify? Here we said 2 rows. So let me say this is the first row. Okay, this is the first row, and then this is going to be the second row. Okay, so 2 rows are ready. So this is the 0th row and this is the first row. Then again we have one more 3, right? So again this is also going to talk about the row. So where? So here, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. Again for this, first row, second row, and third row, and here it will be indexed like 0, 1, 2. So totally 3 rows. Again here 0, 1, 2. Finally we have a 4 here, right? So this specified the column. So here we have set 4 columns. So it will be like first column, second column, third column, and fourth column. Again like this is the first column, second column, third column, and the fourth column. And again it is indexed like 0th column, first column, second column, third column. So we know the array index always starts from 0, right? So this is a three-dimension array. So we have to view it as a 3-dimension. Okay, but to make you to easily visualize it, I have given a small diagram. So like 2 rows. So here we have first row, second row. So 2 rows, index like 0 and 1. Then again we have 3. So every row have 3 rows again. And in that we set 4 columns. So this is the 4 columns, index like 0, 1, and 2. Okay, so how will you specify this place? Let's talk about that. So this is the 0th row. So first we have to specify 0th row. In the 0th row, this is the first row. So then say the first row, and in that it is the first column. So we'll say this is the first column. Okay, this is how we can access it. Consider this. How will we access this place? So this is the first row. So say this is the first row, and in the first row this is the second row. So it is 2. Then this is the second column. So here we are going to say 2. So this is how we can able to access it also. let's discuss this with the coding so that you will get a little more clear idea about it. So let's create a 3-dimension array. So as usual, first say what is the type of the data and array. Then we are going to have 3 square brackets. Then we are going to say the name of the array, and then we are going to use a new operator. Then again type. Then we are going to say 3 square brackets for 3 dimension. And here see, you can see the error because we have to at least specify the number of row. So we are going to say the row as 2. And this one you can later specify as we say in the previous video. So as of now we are going to say everything. So let's say 2 row. In that we are going to say again 3 rows. Again we'll say as 4 columns. Right? So this is how we are created a 3-dimension array. And then we can use a for loop to get the data for it, or we can also assign the value. So let's use a for loop. So here in the 2-dimension array we use 2 for loops, right? For the 3-dimension array we are going to use 3 for loops. So for first for loop we'll say integer I equal to 0. Then we are going to say I less than, as usual we have to say the name of the array. So it will give you the length of that. So you can remember how we did in the 2-dimension array. Then I plus plus, right? So this outer for loop says about this row. Okay, so this says about the row. And then next we are going for this value. For that we are going to use another for loop for int then j equal to 0, then j less than, now we have to say what is the length of each row, right? So I have to say the name of the array, and in that row, first row, how many number of rows is gonna be there, right? So for that we are going to get the length. Then again j plus plus. If you have seen the previous 2-dimension array video, then you will be easily understanding it, right? So here you can say this outer for loop specifies this value, okay, this one, this 0 and this 1, okay, and then the inner for loop, no, j for loop, that specifies this rows, this one 0 and this one 0 1 2. So if I want to get the length of it, I am going to say this name of the array and its 0th place, first place, second place, okay. Then we are going to talk about the column. For that again we are going to specify another for loop integer. We'll use another variable for example k. Every index starts from 0, so k equal to 0. Then we are going to say k less than, now we have to again say the column, no? So we have to get the length of this as well. For that we have to say num, for that I, and then we have to say for in that j, in that row what is the length. So we have to say j dot length. Directly also you can specify, but it's not a good practice. If you get the length dynamically, that is a better one, right? So we did it. So this for loop specify this 2, and this for loop specify the second value, the 3, and this for loop specify this number of columns in it, okay. This specify the column. So for each, how will you get the column size? That's why in the first row, in this row, in this row, again in this row, how many length, okay. So that's why we gave like this. Now we'll give some value. So the name of the array, then first square bracket specify this value, so that is denoted by this for loop with I value, and then the next value, this 3 is denoted by this for loop j, so it is denoted by the variable j, and this column is specified by the variable k, and that we are going to give here, okay. For that let us give some dynamic value. We'll do like this, I into j into k, okay. Some value we are going to assign, otherwise you can even get the value from the user also. So we can either, in the previous example we saw like that, now we will give some logic like I into j into k, so that's gonna be the value of this. So we know here, so what is the outer, this 2 is specifying here, specifying this zeroth row and the first row. This 3 specifies this separate rows and this 4 specifies the columns. So that's what we have given here, and the value we know how to access it. If I want to access this place, so we have to say what is this row. So this is the first row, so this is the first row. In the first row, zeroth row, so zeroth row, which column? Third column, right? So we specify all these things here in this for loop by ijk. So we have done it. Now we have to visualize what are the data we have given there, right? So for that we can use same for loop, and we'll just display system.out.println. We'll remove this. We are going to take the data for this. So let's use system.out.println, and we are going to display the value of this. So near every value, let us give a space. Okay, so here let us take away this, and after finishing the inner for loop we have to go to the next line. So for that we'll simply give a system.out.println, and after that again we are going to give a system.out.println for the next value. So let's see how this look like. So let's run this. So you got a clear picture. So even we'll take this I, because we do like we give some other logic. We'll say k value, we'll take the k value, and every time we will multiply it with some 2 or even with a 10. So we'll get different value for it. Okay, some value. So here you can understand how many rows totally? 2 rows. So this is one row and this is the second row. In each row, how many row again? 3 rows. This is the first row, second row, third row. And how many columns in each? 4 columns. So this is the first column, second column, third column, fourth column. I hope that you got this picture here, right? So this is how we can able to create a 3-dimension array. The values you can put any logic, you can get it from a user, or you can use some other value can be assigned here, and you can get the value back using this for loops, right? So this is how we can able to create a 3-dimension array. Same way you can go for different dimensions, and you can access the value in the similar way, right? So next we are going to talk about jagged array. Okay, so let's create a new Java file, and I'm going to name the file as jagged array, and let's see what is this jagged array about. Okay, so jagged array in the sense, so in the previous example, if you remember, in the 2-dimension array, when we were discussing about the 2-dimension array, we said whenever we create an array like this, I say integer, and it's a 2-dimension array, say for example, name of the array, and then we are going to use the new operator followed by the type, and we said the first square bracket specifies the row, so that is very important. It's mandate to specify the number of row, and we said this number of columns can be determined later. Okay, so it is not compulsory that every row will have equal number of columns. Every row can have different number of columns. So we know how to do it. So let's code it and see. Say for example, let me say integer 2-dimension array, and the name of the array equal to new int, and I'm going to specify the row, and the column, it's my choice. That's it. Okay, so then we'll define it. So how can I define? I can say two rows, right? 0th row, let us say equal to new int. It's an array of array. So in the first row we are going to create an array like this one row, and here we are going to say how many number of column I want. Let's say we'll start with 2 columns. Okay, so for the first row, okay, we can, for the first row I'm going to have 2 columns. Same way, let's see for the second row, that is indexed as 1, we'll say I'm going to have 4 columns. Okay, so this is one way of having. So when an array have different size of columns, okay, that array is said to be as jagged array. Okay, and how will we assign the values to it? Since the column is different, we already know. Okay, we already learned by giving, not by giving static value, we dynamically got the size of an array, so it won't be difficult for you. So we'll give for the row, we are going to use a for loop with a variable I equal to 0, then I less than this array's length, so that will give you the length of the row, and then I plus plus followed by, we are going to give a for loop, another for loop. It's going to specify the column int j equal to 0, all the arrays index start from 0, then j less than every row, right? I have to specify the row's length now. So here for that, and only this value is changing, so it like 0 and 1, so here we'll get that. So here I am going to mention num of I. So first time I value will be 0, second time I value will be 1, so that I'll be getting it properly and its length, then j plus plus, right? So this is how we are going to iterate through it. And now we can get the input from the user also. We can use quickly the scanner class. So and first we are going to create the object for the scanner, going to get the input from the system's input screen, input stream, right? Okay, so we will include its header file as well. So that's it. So now we are going to say, we'll say here system.out.println, just say sysout and control space will give you the full shortcut for making system.out.println. Here we are going to say enter the elements of the array. Okay, so here we are going to get the data. So for we want to get the data for num I specify the number of that row value, and j specify the column. So according to the length, it's already going to iterate, so properly we'll get it equal to, using the scanner object we are going to get the integer value, right? Then using the same kind of for loop, we will be displaying the data. So here we want like again system.out.println, and there we are going to print this rows and column values. So here every row will be in the same line, so we are going to take the ln and we are going to give some space between the values. So here we'll be giving, and here after completing one row, it has to go to the next line. For that we are going to make a system.out.println, right? It go to the next line. So now let's run this program. So here it is asking enter the elements of an array. We know there are two rows, but for the first row we are going to have 2 columns, and for the second row we are going to have 4 columns. Keep that in mind, and we will enter some data, 20. So this completes the first row, and then for the second row we have to give 4 values. So let's say 100, then 200, 300 and 400, right? So then we are displaying the data. You can see there are 2 rows. This is the first row, second row. For the first row we said 2 columns, so we get 2 columns. This is the first column, second column, and then we said for the second row we said 4 columns. So this is the first column, second column, third column and the fourth column. So when we have an array with the different column size, that array is said to be a jagged array. Even we can make like this. We can say 3 row, and for every row we'll have like a triangle shape. Okay, so we will do like this. It's look little bit different. So just for example, so here I am going to have 3 rows. First row I'm going to have 1 column, second row let's have 2 column, third row let's have 3 column, right? So here we don't want to change anything because automatically we are getting its length. Okay, we are not giving any static value, so it is very easy for us. So let's run this. So for the first row we are going to give 1 value, and for the second row 2 data we have to 2 elements. So let's say 20 and 30, and for the third row 3 columns. So we'll say 40, 50 and 60, right? So now you got, we have totally 3 rows. Okay, and first row we have 1 column, so 1 column. For the second row we set 2 column, so we have 2 column. This is the first column and this is the second column. And for the third row we set 3 columns, so this is the first column, second column, and third column. So this is how we can able to create a jagged array. Hope you have enjoyed this jagged array. God bless you all. Thank you.